Australian culture, which is heavily influenced by our British and Irish roots, doesn't really embrace conflict and avoids it at all costs. Instead, we engage in passive-aggressive tendencies such as gossiping and the silent treatment, and don't really address underlying issues. Think about other cultures such as Italian culture or Greek culture. Conflict is a part of life. It's like brushing your teeth or going to the toilet. It's a daily behaviour that they just do. Instead, workers in organisations today engage in passive-aggressive tendencies, which results in work cover and bullying and harassment claims, which ultimately affects the company's bottom line through loss of productivity. When an issue exists between two co-workers, if it's not resolved, often this will lead to a bullying and harassment claim with HR. Managers are increasingly being rewarded for not getting involved in staff issues, instead using management speaks and cliches and referring them to HR too soon in the process. In my world of two employees having an issue with each other, it is the manager's responsibility, firstly, to act as the mediator to try and resolve the issue. Only then, when the issue remains unresolved, should they refer it to HR. Research suggests that engaging in difficult conversations with your colleagues not only improves your general level of happiness, but also reduces your stress and anxiety levels as well. A big problem for workers is that they take their work home with them, not being able to switch off, which affects their family time. By this I mean taking home incomplete work and issues with colleagues, contractors. Think about it. If you have a disagreement with a co-worker that remains unresolved, you go over it and over it in your mind, often in the early hours of the morning, thinking of different situations and solutions. Good to know about it. But if you're able to successfully resolve the issue with your co-worker, often through a face-to-face conversation, there's no need to go to the gym after work or to meditate. This is the ultimate form of mindfulness. Not addressing an issue at work is actually having a detrimental effect on not only your own levels of happiness, but also your families as well. Brené Brown, in a famous TED Talk, highlights the power of vulnerability. It is absolutely critical in any conversation that vulnerability or authenticity is present. A lot of people think that you can't truly be authentic in the context of a work environment because it's unprofessional and a sign of weakness. This is just not true. It's actually a sign of strength. Most people, in the context of a difficult conversation, choose to be very professional, often using management speak, and getting to solutions far too quickly. I mean, how can you expect the other person to be real with you if you're putting up this wall to them? The problem with not being authentic is that you're not actually addressing your underlying issues and you're not explaining where it is that you're coming from. Being authentic in the context of a difficult conversation is explaining to the other person where it is that you're coming from, both intellectually as well as emotionally. Through doing this, you show to the other person that you're a human being with thoughts and feelings, not merely a work robot. Think of stage one of the brainstorming session, where each person identifies specific behaviours or specific instances that they want to talk about. For example, an email not being responded to, or remembering a time when your boss spoke down to you in a derogatory tone in a meeting. Stage two is all about turning your concerns into issues. For example, you may have a number of behaviours or concerns centering around the one problem. For example, you may have concerns around how your boss treats you or how project deadlines not being adhered to. The main issue might be around the lack of respect. In any given difficult conversation, there will be a number of shared issues between both parties. For example, you both might share the same issue of a lack of respect. We generally find that there'll be between 2 to 3 main issues that need to be spoken about. And in this stage in the process, we need to go from being position-based, which is I'm right, you're wrong, to more interest-based, which is this is my issue and this is where I'm coming from. The third stage in the process is where you say as you feel. Now is your chance to be a little bit vulnerable and explain to the other person what is exactly going through your head. And you do this one issue at a time. And it's important to appreciate that the other person isn't a mind reader, so you need to clearly articulate to them what is going through your mind in relation to the specific issue. You probably feel a little bit silly doing it at first, but this is where the magic happens. The fourth stage is when you negotiate solutions. For some issues, you probably find that communication is enough, while for other issues, negotiation is required. So the first part is to generate options, and you place And once enough options have been generated, you negotiate solutions. And the solutions can either be placed in an email or agreed verbally.